This is the Alden Report.
All right, well, this episode is brought to you in part by the last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read by Andrew Cap. Yeah, you heard it right. The last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read. Listen, if you don't believe me, go over to Amazon and read the over 1,600 five-star reviews from excited readers who, after all the books, all the programs, and all the other nonsense out there, finally found a book that explains the law of attraction like nothing you've ever heard before. Not only does it include fun, user-friendly methods, but it's going to hold a mirror up to you, the reader, and explain what's happening in your head whenever you're trying to work on yourself. It'll explain why you get excited, why you even start to use what you learn, and even begin to get results, but then you still quit. This book will show you how to overcome that, and it's going to show you how to manifest the things that you want most in your life. So check it out by going to lastlawofattractionbook.com. That's lastlawofattractionbook.com. It's going to auto forward you to Amazon, where you can pick it up on Kindle, paperback, or even audiobook. Listen, I've read this book myself. I've even interviewed Andrew on the Alden Report, and I'm telling you, this is in fact the last Law of Attraction book you'll ever need to read, and it's going to change your life. So go ahead and pick up a copy by visiting lastlawofattractionbook.com. That's lastlawofattractionbook.com.
This is the Alden Report.
All right. Well, my name is Michael Alden. We are here in Blue Vase Studios. And I tell you, I'm super excited, like I always say, for my next guest. My next guest is an entrepreneur. She's a business leader. But what she's here to talk about is something that I got to be honest with you, this is kind of a selfish interest to have her on. She's the author of a book that's coming out called Exit Rich. She is actually, her company has sold over 1,000 businesses. She's personally sold over 500 businesses, and she's been featured on every major network that you can imagine. She's truly an icon in this space. And I'm super interested because I built a pretty big business. I built multiple businesses, but I've never sold them. And to be honest with you, I don't know how to. So she's here today to talk a little bit about that. She's here today to talk a little bit about her book, and I'm super interested. So if you're listening right now and you're a business owner, or maybe you're building a business and you're thinking about, hey, you know what? I want to build my business and sell it. Then you're not going to want to miss this episode of the Alden Report. Please help me welcome Michelle Seiler Tucker. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you being here. And I apologize. We had some technical difficulties, but we made it. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Mike. It's my pleasure.
So I want to for those of my viewers and listeners who don't know you, I'm super interested in how does one get into the business of selling businesses? I'd love to know how you got there.
Yeah. So, I didn't really wake up one day and say, oh my God, I'm going to sell businesses. That was not my childhood dream. But my childhood dream was always entrepreneurship. I knew I wanted to be my own boss. I knew I wanted to own many different businesses, which I do. I've owned many different businesses in different verticals. I did kind of get sucked into corporate America and went to work for Xerox because Xerox recruited me. And I was there for about 6 months till my nickname became the closer at Xerox. Every time somebody can close something, they say, call Michelle. She can do it. She can close anything. It's like, call Mikey. He'll eat it. He eats anything. And then, within 6 months, my supervisor came to me and she said, Michelle, you really should apply for the regional vice president position overseeing the South at Xerox, overseeing 100 salespeople. And she said, you'll never get it because you've been here for 6 months. And she said, but I think you should do it anyway. It's a 3-month process. And I'm like, why would I interview for something that I'm never going to get? Why would I waste 3 months of my time? It makes no sense. Anyway, she said, look, it's because of the experience. You'll learn so much through this process that, I think you should do it. So I said, okay. So I threw my name in the hat. And she said, the reason you won't get it is because Xerox has a 2-year policy. You need to be with Xerox for 2 years before you get promoted from within. Plus, you're going to be up against people who have been, with Xerox for 5, 10, 15 years. So anyway, it was a 3-month process, and it was a grueling process. I had to meet with every high-level Xerox the management team, and go through Q&As, presentations, copier demonstrations, etc. And I did get it, Mike. So I guess I truly am the closer. So I did beat everybody out, and Xerox actually changed their policy for me. And then I realized right away that I hated it.
Wow.
Because I love sales, I love people, I love solving problems, I like coming up with solutions and making decisions really quickly and getting things done. And when you're working corporate America at that level, you're really having meetings to have more meetings, to schedule follow-up meetings, and you can't really make any decisions because there's so much red tape, and so many people have to vote on everything, and it's ridiculous. So nothing really gets done. So I ended up really realizing that I didn't like it. So I started looking for something else. I was going to keep Xerox. I started looking for something else. Anyway, long story short, I ended up partnering with a franchisor and really going into franchise sales, franchise consulting, and franchise development. Sold hundreds of franchises. Actually, I actually kept my daytime job with Xerox for 6 months to make sure it was going to work. I did this nights and weekends and made more money in 6 months than I did an entire year at Xerox as a regional vice president. And then partnered with other franchisors and really grew my franchise sales, franchise consulting development business. But then I found myself, I kept saying no, 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 because so many buyers would ask me for existing businesses. They said, look, we don't want a franchise. We want an existing business. And at that point, I'm like, why don't I just start an M&A firm? So I can still do franchise sales, franchise consulting, development, but I can also work with existing business owners. And that's what I did a little over 20 years ago.
Wow, there's a lot in that, and I know this. There's one thing that you brought up that is not maybe 100% tied to your book and what you've been doing for the 20 years. But I just real quick, I think something you said is really important. We have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the Alden Report, and I consult with young entrepreneurs a lot. And it was interesting what you said is you for 6 months you stayed with a stable income. And then you left. Talk a little bit about that process and because as a businesswoman and entrepreneur, I think a lot of people see you hear it all. This is the advice that I hear from people. Go all in. If you're passionate about it, you just got to just sell everything and go all in. I totally disagree with that. And it sounds like you probably do as well. Tell us a little bit about, okay, 6 months of doing nights and weekends. Gary Vee talks about 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. when people doing the side, everyone's got the side hustle. Tell us a little bit about, like, one, that thought process, and two, what it was really like for you. At what point did you say, okay, I can jump? Because it was a huge commitment, and Xerox was probably a Fortune 25 company at the time. So
yeah, they probably were a Fortune 25 company at the time, and they were very demanding, and it was very time intensive. I did travel a lot with Xerox, but on the weekends, I would fly to Dallas or, fly to Atlanta, Phoenix, and go to different trade shows and franchise shows and sell franchises. Right. I mean, it really wasn't that difficult. I would go to the show, I'd get interested parties, I would hold a seminar. I'd have so many people come to my seminar, and I was selling a lot of like 3-packs, 4-packs, 6-packs, where people would buy 6 franchises, and that's really how I really grew so quickly, because I was able to sell so many franchises so fast, and I was making half the franchise fee.
Right.
And then I was going to get half the royalties.
Yeah.
And so I was making money really quick. So I knew within 6 months that was the right decision. I loved what I was doing. I was helping business owners start up a business for the very first time. And I knew it was time to leave. The reason I didn't just leave Xerox is because the franchisor that I partnered with didn't have too many locations. I didn't know how stable they were. And I wanted to kind of test the water before I go and leave my, 6-figure Fortune 25 company for a business that wasn't really, didn't have that many franchises at the time. Does that make sense?
I absolutely. And I'm just glad you had mentioned that, because again, I think it's important. And I was literally just talking to someone about this yesterday. He was actually he's looking for a potential franchise. And I said, dude, do me a favor. He's not making tons of money, but he's making good money for where he's at. And I'm like, please do not jump until you have something that you know is going to be able to support you, your wife, your child, and your child that's on the way. Don't jump, because it's I think people, they see stuff on the internet or on Instagram and they think, oh, hey, everyone else is doing it. Well, it could be catastrophic, right?
And they don't do their due diligence,
Right.
And then here's another piece of advice for him. Don't buy a startup franchise. Buy an existing one that already has employees in place and already has proven track record of making money. Don't do a new one.
Okay. How come?
All right. Well, lots of reasons. First and foremost, you never really should buy a brand new franchise. I know franchise world's going to kill me right now, but you should never buy a brand new franchise, because a brand new franchise, the fee is based upon the franchise fee. It's based upon the build out. The build out is always more than what you think it's going to be.
Right.
Always, 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 always. And then it's based upon furniture, fixtures, equipment, inventory, all of that.
Yeah.
So you can usually buy an existing franchise less expensive than a startup and have money already coming in, because you can spend all this money and in 2, 3, 4 years not making any money.
Right.
You got to make sure you have enough working capital to sustain. And that's what they don't tell you. They don't tell you all these things. With an existing franchise, I'll give you an example. Baskin Robbins, brand new Baskin Robbins will cost you about $300,000 to $400,000, maybe a little bit more, depending upon the build out. An existing Baskin Robbins, it's not about the franchise fee. It's not about the build out. It's not about the inventory, furniture, fixtures, equipment. It's not about any of that. It's about a multiple of the seller's discretionary earnings, or EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. So Baskin Robbins, brand new one. We sold one that had been in business for 30 years. I didn't sell it. My team sold it. Been in business 30 years in the exact same location, making about $75,000 a year. It sold for like $150,000. Half the price
Right.
of a new one, already money coming in, already have employees in place, already has brand recognition and name awareness in the neighborhood that they've been in for 30 years. Buying a new one is like financial suicide, I think.
I like it. I wasn't, if you've listened to the podcast, which I'm guessing you have, I don't really necessarily have planned questions. I mean, obviously I know about you, I know about the book, I know about Sharon. So, but I didn't know we were going to go down this route, but I if you don't mind, I want to ask a little bit more, but because I think a lot of people are enamored with the idea of getting into a franchise. I had a brother-in-law who owned Fitness Together. So I'm an attorney by trade, and I helped him do those deals. And then the economy crashed this is like 15 years ago or so. And the build outs were just extraordinary. So the one that it was making money, he took all the money from that one to do a build out. And then we did another build out. And the other two that we did the build outs for, he ended up selling them for $1 each because he was in so much debt from it. So like if you're, if people listening right now, watching right now, and oh man, I get so many questions about this, but so let's say they're looking at a potential franchise. I love that advice. So don't necessarily buy a brand new one. And we say brand new, and it sounds like, I think I understand what you're saying. It's not necessarily brand new as in a brand new idea, but it's also a brand new physical franchise. Like you had mentioned, Baskin Robbins been around for like 100 years.
Yeah, but it's a brand new, but it's a brand new Baskin Robbins franchise in that location.
So it's brand new.
It has no proven track record.
Right.
And you know what? They don't always get the demographics right.
Right.
There's lots of times franchises fail. Talk about attorney. Let me tell you something else. So there's an attorney friend of mine. He buys one of these smoothie franchises because, he's going to keep his attorney job, but he decides, look, I want some cash flow on the side. So he's going to go buy one of these. I don't know if it's a smoothie fast food.
Probably one of the during the yogurt craze, I guarantee.
Well, it might have been it might have been yogurt. I don't really remember, but he called me up. He said, Michelle, you have to sell this for me because I have $400,000 in it. Employees don't show up. They're stealing from me. I have to show up. I'm an attorney. I make like $250 an hour.
Right.
I don't have time to go work this franchise and I'm losing everything. He goes, I said, what do you want to sell it for? He goes, what I have into it. I said, there's no way. You're going to sell it for the depreciated value. You're not going to ever get your money back. So you got to be very, very careful. A lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers, they think that they can go buy a startup franchise. And when I say startup franchise, like a Baskin Robbins, been around forever, but it's a new location. It's not something that you can just run. It's not something that you can just own and not be involved. You got to have a manager that you trust. And again, I would never buy a new one. I would buy an existing one that has a proven track record.
That makes sense. I want to ask you one more question about franchise, and we'll get off that, and we'll get off it,
Okay.
and we'll get on to some other stuff. So if you were consulting with somebody that's looking to buy a business that maybe has a franchise-esque type feel to it, like a sub shop or a massage thing or a gym, and they had the choice, franchise or independent, which one would you suggest?
It depends upon the buyer.
Okay.
Because there are buyers that have never owned a business before. They're not entrepreneurs. They want to leave corporate America and they want to be in business for themselves, but not by themselves. So a franchise is a perfect fit for them, but look for an existing one, not a new one. And then you've got buyers who are entrepreneurs who really don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to, follow the franchise model. They want to innovate. And they want to do their own thing and create their own masterpiece. I would say no to a franchise for them. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes total sense to me. In a second, I want to get into your book. I know you have a methodology on exactly what people should do. I'm super interested. I haven't read the book yet. I was hoping I could get an advanced reader's copy. I can't win because I got glasses on, but I'll have to get that after the fact. I've talked obviously a little bit about it, but in a second, again, I want to talk about that methodology. All right. Well, I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Alden Report. You probably already know this, but here in the United States, investors and big corporations pay between 0 and 25% in taxes, and many times it's 0, while individuals pay between 30 and 50% in taxes, and small businesses pay between 40 and 60% in taxes. What you probably don't know is that the federal tax code is behavior-based. Well, what does that mean? It means if you behave like an investor in a big corporation, you can access the same rates. That's why nth degree CPAs exist, to show businesses and owners how to modify their behavior and to access the same rates as investors in big corporations. With tax rates likely on the rise, I urge you to sign up for their next webinar by visiting www.rigmywealth.com/Alden. That's www.rigmywealth.com/Alden. We are on with Michelle Seiler Tucker. She is a rock star entrepreneur. She sold thousands of businesses. She's been doing this for 20 years. She's been featured everywhere. She's been featured in Fox, Forbes, Inc., MSNBC, CNBC, NBC, ABC, all over the world. She's a speaker, she's an entrepreneur, and she's the author of her latest book called Exit Rich. The book is available everywhere for pre-order, but you can also go to exitrichbook.com. You can pick it up and go to, again, exitrichbook.com. I think she actually has it discounted for the audiobook, I believe. I don't know if you and I even talked about that. I believe it's discounted a little bit. Or if you don't want to get a discount, fine. Go to Amazon, go to Barnes & Noble, go to Books A Million, wherever you want to go. Books are available. And her publisher is also my first publisher, so I love them as well. Everything about it's great, and I'm super excited for you to be here again. So if you'd like some more information about Michelle, just go to exitrichbook.com. Okay, so now, as a business owner myself, it's funny. I was just thinking about this because I knew we were going to have, you're coming on. I've been in business for 12 years, and I was watching one of your videos and it freaked me out. And I'm going to tell you the part that freaked me out. What you said was, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, which was, you generally in the past, you would hear that most businesses fail within like the first 5 years. That's really what's happened. And you're saying that's not happening now. What you're saying is what's happening is that people are in business, the ones that have been in business, these are the ones that are failing now. And I'm like right there, exactly what you said. I've been in business for 12 years, done hundreds of millions of revenue, but peaks and valleys right now, it's peaks and valleys. Tell us a little bit about the business environment and what is going on. And I don't know why, but I'd love to hear why that's happening.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So it used to be when I wrote my very first book, Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth in 2013, did the research and learned that 95% of all startups would fail. And these are startups within the first 1 to 5 years, right? We all know that. That's common knowledge. However, when I wrote Exit Rich in 2019 and 2020 with Sharon Lechter, I did the exact same research and learned that the business landscape has actually flip-flopped. It's completely opposite now. Startups, only 30% of startups will go out of business. Only 30% now. So that 1 to 5 years, they're only at 30% risk. However, out of 27.6 million companies, those businesses have been in business 10 years or longer. 70% of these businesses are at risk for going out of business. Now, you've heard about the big public companies all the time, like Toys R Us, been in business 75 years, goes out of business. Montgomery Ward's is in trouble. JCPenney, Steinmart goes out of business. Pier 1, Jamboree. You got
Radio Shack.
Radio Shack. You got Godiva closing up 1,500 locations. And GNC closing up 900 locations. They're talking about the public companies. They're not talking about the private businesses on every street corner in every town in every state across our great nation. These business owners are exiting poor. They're selling for pennies on the dollar, closing their business, or even worse, filing bankruptcy. And most of the time when you file bankruptcy in America, you don't just lose your business assets, you lose your personal assets too, because most business owners pierce the corporate veil. You're an attorney, you know that. They sign the personal guarantees, they take a mortgage out against their house. They do all these things they're not supposed to.
Commingle funds.
They commingle funds like crazy. They do all these things they're not supposed to do. So that's really why I wrote Exit Rich, is because 70% of businesses are going out of business, plus 80%, according to Steve Forbes, who also endorsed Exit Rich, 80% of businesses won't sell. So 8 out of 10 businesses don't sell.
It's crazy.
And let me just go back to the main reason that 70% are going out of business, because you asked, why is that? The number one reason is because business owners stop doing what I call AIM. AIM. Always innovate and market. Always innovate and market. Tell me what Toys R Us did new in 75 years. They modeled Toys R Us after a grocery store, and they did nothing different. Blockbuster saw Netflix. They had the opportunity to purchase Netflix, and they sat back fat and happy and did nothing. And now they're out of business. So lack of innovation and lack of marketing. Business owners are married to their idea, and they want to keep doing things the way they've always done them. You're either growing or dying. You either innovate or you go out of business. It's that simple now. And now you got all these startup entrepreneurs that are out there solving problems. They're looking at the problem and going, oh, here's a solution. You know, the company that makes it easiest for the consumer to purchase products and services is a company that's going to win. Amazon winning because they make it so easy for us to buy practically anything and have it delivered to us in 2 days. You can practically buy a horse and have it delivered to your house in 2 days. And now they just bought a bunch of planes so they can get it to you in 1 day. So innovation is key. Innovation and marketing.
I mean, is that really the key to it? It's the disruption, right? That's what's happening. Just the world is just being disrupted.
Well,
like you said,
this is before COVID.
Right.
Now you better really start innovating, because look at Target, look at Walmart. They did nothing when they saw Amazon buy Whole Foods, and Whole Foods was shipping to your door. Now Target's got a membership program where you join up and they'll ship food to your groceries to your door, and so does Walmart. So, I mean, you can thank the pandemic for that, but the bottom line is innovation, and also these businesses, a lot of them have been in business for 20, 30 years. Their customers are aging out.
Right.
So you really got to figure out, what does the consumer want? I mean, we should be asking our clients, what do you want? What do you need? How do I make it easier for you to do business with us?
Yeah, I just wrote that down. It's funny, when my business, we primarily sell nutritional products and dietary supplements, and I've had that exact conversation with my employees here. Like, look, our customers literally are dying, like literally dying, and so we need to continue to figure out, what we're doing. And my primary source of income and revenue to this day is still on television, which is, it's not a dying medium, it's a changing medium. I would say it's retracting. It's definitely retracting. And we've certainly changed the way we do business. But I felt like we didn't do it as fast as we should have, but we're doing it now. But a lot of businesses, like you said, just don't do it. I saw a great documentary called All Things Shall Pass, and it was about Tower Records. I don't know. Have you seen that documentary? It's such a great documentary about, and I think it opens up and it says, I think it was in 2009, Tower Records had 5.7 billion in sales. In 2010, they were bankrupt. Because they
it's like Toys R Us in
Right.
2017. There's a lot. I call it life cycles of a business.
Yeah.
Life cycles of a business is the same as the life cycle of a human. The best time to sell your business is when your business is in its prime.
Right.
Toys R Us, 2015, they were in their prime, worth $11.5 billion. The very next year, they filed bankruptcy. 2 years later, they closed up all of their stores worldwide within 2 years.
That's, again, it's scary and sad. When I was watching one of your videos about that. All right. So
I'm not trying to scare people.
You're freaking me out. You're freaking me out, Michelle. That's okay. That's why I'm here. It's funny. I tell people on the podcast, you've probably seen some of my guests. We've had some pretty big players on, and I had Marshall Goldsmith on, and I was saying to him, he didn't like that I said this. I said, folks, Marshall Goldsmith, he charges upwards to like $150,000 just to sit down with him for a couple hours. And I said, he's here today for free. And I'm like, I kind of like this. And he did not like it. He didn't think it was funny. I thought it was funny. Okay. So your methodology in Exit Rich, I believe you have, what is it? Is it the 6 P's method? I think that's what is it?
We have the 6P method. Yeah. The 6P method is sell your business for huge profits.
So, all right. So let's talk about, maybe I'll give you a hypothetical, business. I'll kind of give you mine. We won't give you like the exact numbers. We'll come close. So a business that was, cranking, doing 50 million a year for multiple years, now doing, let's say 10, right? And not to say that we can't get back up to 50, but we might. But so now we went from doing 50, now we're doing 10. But here's the crazy thing. And you know enough about this. We're actually more profitable now at 10 than we were at 50, which is a great thing. But so that when I look at that, it goes down like this. So to me, it looks bad, right? And I've cut employees, I've cut costs. From the outside looking in, it looks like we're gonna die, right? That's not the case. But so a business like this, we have a massive database. We have IP. We have existing revenue. If we didn't continue to market, we'd still have sales and customers. But eventually, the revenue will just continue to go down if we're not marketing anymore. How does a business like mine get sold?
Well, remember what I said before? Innovation and marketing.
I know, but yeah.
You see, aims. You gotta aim. All right. So how does a business like yours get sold? So, a couple of questions. First and foremost, the revenues went from 50 to what?
10. I mean, not overnight. I mean,
Did the EBITDA go up?
Yeah. The EBITDA has gone up. Yeah. So now,
how much has the EBITDA went up? How much has the
now
EBITDA?
We're running at about a 20% profit margin, where I was actually losing money almost year after year.
So you were losing money. Now you're making money.
Right.
And that's been over the last how many years?
Making money or losing money?
No, making money. I don't care about losing money. I care about making money.
I'll tell you a funny story, because listen, this is like a therapy session for you. So I was on Grant Cardone. I was on Grant Cardone's show back in 2014. It was called Power Players, right? He invited me on actually because this book right here, Ask More, Get More, which is a Greenleaf book. And Grant had me on a show because when he traveled anywhere in the country to any Hudson News, it was my book, his book, Tony Robbins and Ryan Blair's book. And so
was it on the table? Was it on the table?
It was everywhere. It was everywhere.
Now you're going to see Exit Rich everywhere.
Hudson News. Yeah. So, and by the way, I opened that for Greenleaf, just as an FYI. So now we're running at at about a 20%, profit margin now. So
but over 3 years, over 2 years, over what time?
Oh, so we just, it literally just, COVID actually was kind of a good thing for us, because we were like, fuck, if we don't do something, we will be out of business. Okay. And so we changed the way we do business. We're still running. A lot of our customers are coming from television and the radio, but when they do come into our funnel, a lot of them are funneled to our website, which cuts out any sort of commissions and call center costs, which has been great for us. So again, we're running at call it, like I said, a 20% profit margin, but on a 10 million run rate. So, call it 2 million, just under 2 million in profit.
Okay. So just under 2 million EBITDA. And that's for the last year. That's for the last 2 years.
Last year.
And so before that, you were doing more in revenue, but a lot less in profit.
Yeah. So the point of my story with Cardone too, Cardone asked me that year we had done 55 million. He said, "What's your profit?" And I said, "I don't know." Live on camera, by the way.
Oh, you lied. Okay.
No. I said live on camera.
Oh, live on camera. Well, did you know it or did you not
No,
know
I
it?
didn't, because my response, which is just an immature young entrepreneur, was, look, man, I pay myself a great salary. I have great things. I have a nice life. My family is, it was just a bullshit response. At the end of the day, it was honest, and that's how I felt, but I didn't know the numbers, Michelle.
So
And
here's
it's
the bottom
gross.
line.
It's gross and it's scary.
You are not unique. I know you think you are.
No,
Just
yeah,
glasses and all.
right.
You are not an original.
These are she's talking about my 99-cent glasses. But
Almost every single entrepreneur,
right.
every single business owner I've worked with, they never know their numbers.
Yeah.
You're not unique.
Right.
So most business owners don't know their numbers.
Right.
At all. So to tell you what we sell your business for, I would take you through the whole 6 P's.
Right.
And number one, we want to find out, how did you drop so much in revenue?
Right. You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, man, I don't know that anyone publicly knows this. A lot of people know this. I'm telling you, listen, I'm super honest and candid in this thing. I had a guy that funded me. Right. Mm-hmm. He was essentially he was a bank, an actual registered bank in California, straight up fucking embezzled from me. And then from there, it just spiraled out of control. And we realized that there was a huge opportunity loss. And that, as you know, so we started to go into debt more and more and more and more and couldn't figure out why and how we discovered it and how he was, we had joint bank accounts, joint signatory and the whole thing. And how we discovered it, it was too late. I triaged about $500,000 that I was able to pull back, but by then the damage had been done. This is by the way, this is 2016, and at the same time, I also had one of my merchant accounts freeze all of our shit in one day and grabbed almost $1 million in one day. So that was in 2016.
Why did the merchant account freeze everything?
Because I'm in the supplement space and the supplement industry just kind of crashed. We have no BBB issues, no lawsuits, none of that stuff. It's just the space we're in. Like I said, I'm a lawyer. I've been doing this a long time. I've been in business selling. I have the longest running infomercial to date in the world of health and wellness products. It's still on air today, and you don't do that if you're not running a clean business. So he went away. So the guy that was financing me that allowed me to scale went away, stole a bunch of money. And now here's the fucking craziest thing. Michelle, all the money that he stole from me and all the other fucking people he was supposed, can you tell I'm upset? All the other people he was supposed to be paying, I paid off the debt.
So you paid off everybody he was supposed to be paying. How
Yes.
much did he steal from you?
Which by the way, I had already paid him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How much did he pay you?
No, he didn't pay me anything.
No,
Nothing.
I mean, how much did he steal from you?
He actually physically stole about 1.5.
And how much did you have to pay back of money he stole?
About the same amount.
About 1.5, and you paid everybody back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so how was he able to take money out when it requires 2 signatures?
So, by the way, we were going to sue him, so we didn't. So we could talk about this because he had 8 other. It was a blatant Ponzi scheme. So basically, what happened is he was acting almost like he was almost acting like a factorer to us. Okay, so if I was doing 100,000 in media, and I was paying, and then I ultimately paid the 100,000 because it was on a 2-week runway. So he would put up the money 2 weeks in advance. 2 weeks later, we would pay him based off of the revenue, right? Well, what was happening is he was not paying the 100. He was billing us for the 100 and charging us interest, and then keeping it. And then the media agencies never let us know on top of that. And they were also kind of involved in it. It was fucking gross. But let's forget about that for a second. We don't need to get into all those details, but we're already there. So
I would tell you though that I hope this story helps people. Yeah. Because what you're saying is not unique. This happens every single day.
Right.
I've had so many business owners that have had a situation just like yours.
By the way, this guy was like my grandfather too. Just like we were that close. So,
Well, that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
But there's so many scenarios. I have one business owner that was embezzled like 8 different times.
Yeah.
And that goes back to one of my P's, and that goes back to processes,
Right.
trust but verify. So the bottom line in your business, you really have to determine, I would take you through the GPS exit model to determine what is your end game? What do you want to sell your business for?
Right.
Because you only have 1 year of a $2 million profit.
Right.
You
We
know,
gotta
and
get back
buyers-
up there before we even consider selling.
Buyers want to see 2 to 3 years.
Right.
Now you have a good story to tell. We would highlight that when we are marketing the business, when we are bringing on buyers and stuff. Because we put everything out front. We
Right.
want to get all the skeletons in the closet out front.
Right.
We don't want buyers to find out later in due diligence. So you have a
Right.
good story to tell. But the bottom line is you need a couple years of making a $2 million or more, right? Because you got 1 year.
Sure.
And was that in 2020, right?
2020. Yeah.
And that's pretty good in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is your desired end game? What do you want to sell your business for?
Oh, I don't even necessarily know that I want to sell. I just wanted to use me as the example, because I don't know that I'm there or even necessarily want to do that, but I just wanted to I didn't want to make up a fake example, so I just gave you that real one because, like you said,
as far as selling you, what I would do is I would take you through what I call the GPS exit model, and this is what I do for all my clients. First and foremost, I want them to figure out when you want to drive somewhere, what's the first thing you do? You pull out your phone, you go to Google Maps, and you plug in your destination, right?
Right.
So I would help you determine what your destination is. You don't have a destination.
Right.
You don't know what your desired sales price is.
Right.
So you need to figure that out. And then you need to know what is your business worth today. So if you say, look, I want to sell for let's say you want to sell for $20 million. Great. There's a number. Then you need to figure out what's GPS need to know next. It needs to know where you're starting from. What's your current location? What's your business worth today? Let's say you're worth $5 million today. Then you need to know time frame. Let's say you want to do this in 5 years, right? Now you got to start a plan. The problem with most business owners, Mike, is they don't even know what their business is worth. You don't know what your business is worth.
Right.
And this is crazy to me because us humans will go to the doctor once a year to get an annual checkup to make sure our heart's still ticking and we're still kicking. We'll drive our car to the automobile, to the automobile dealership to get a tune-up. But what do we not do? We don't get an annual business valuation checkup. And there are events that happen in your business that can decrease valuations, and there are events, external and internal, that can increase valuation. So you always need to know what your business is worth. Make sense?
Does. Yeah.
And then you need to know who's my buyers. There's 5 types of buyers. If you want to sell for 20 million, it's not going to be a first-time buyer because they buy small businesses. It's not going to be a turnaround specialist. They buy distressed assets. So it's going to be a private equity group. A strategic competitor is a third type. A fourth type, and they pay the highest multiple for synergies, or a sophisticated entrepreneur that's industry agnostic that chases cash flow. So that's what I would do with you, is take you through that GPS exit model to help you determine what your end game is. And then I would take you through the 6 P's because you already have 2 P's missing, or you didn't know your numbers.
Right.
And you probably didn't have the processes in place where you were inspecting what you expect and trusting but verifying.
Yeah. And you're right. And it's an expensive lesson, and I'm glad we did talk about it. I've talked a little bit about it in my last book, Blueprint to Business, but not the exact nature. But here we are today. So, and I think it really is important. I'm glad that you said that too, not to necessarily make me feel better, because it does make you feel better that other people have gone through it. But it's interesting that you said that it's not uncommon.
It's not uncommon. It is so common. I mean, like I said, I have one gentleman. Look, I was doing due diligence. I was there with the buyer's team, a business that we sold in Texas, and we were selling this business for 18 million. And one of his companies was headed to foreclosure, and the buyer was buying both companies. And I was there with the buyer's team doing due diligence. I got the CPA embezzling money right then and there because she was hiding stuff. She's hiding invoices, and I know what to look for. So I got her embezzling money and I turned her in. It happens all the time, much more than you would ever expect.
So inspect what you expect.
Yeah, the bottom line is processes. You got to have these processes in place, especially when it's centered around money, to where you trust but verify. And like I said, inspect what you expect. That's right. Us busy entrepreneurs, we trust people. You trusted him. He's like your grandfather.
Right.
And you probably didn't inspect, what you expected from him. You trusted, but never verified.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happens to the best of us. Look, it happened to my husband. It happens to the best of us.
Wow. Wow. So, all right. So I know we don't have a lot of time. The book is titled Exit Rich. You can get it everywhere. You can go to exitrichbook.com. You could just Google Exit Rich, or co-author. We didn't even talk a lot about Sharon Lechter, but a co-author is the co-author also of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So if that means anything to you, if it doesn't mean anything to you, it should. Sharon's book I think they've sold over 30 million books as well. And she's also a business icon as well. So if you'd like some more information about the book, you can just go to exitrichbook.com. You can also Google her, and you have something to say. I wasn't letting you go, but I just wanted people to learn a little bit more. But Ed, what do you got?
I just wanted to tell your listeners that if they go buy the book right now in pre-launch, because the book comes out in June 22nd, but they can go buy it at exitrichbook.com right now for $24.79, which is less than Amazon. And we will email the digital download to you immediately, so you don't have to wait till June. We'll ship the hardcover to your doorstep to anybody that lives in the United States for no extra shipping. Plus, we will give you a lifetime membership into the Exit Rich Book Club, where there's video content and me doing deep dives in some of these different techniques and strategies that we talk about with the 6 Ps and, processes and just everything that you kind of have heard here today, but a much deeper dive, plus documents. So documents to operate your business, documents to sell your business. We have sample employee handbooks, non-competes, policy and procedure manuals. We have sample letter of intents, purchase agreements, due diligence checklists, closing docs, and all these documents are there not only for your review, for your download too. You can use the templates. And Mike, you're an attorney. If you went to recreate all these documents, it would probably cost over $30,000.
Oh yeah, it's expensive stuff.
And they're there for $24.79. Plus, you get a 30-day membership into Club CEOs, which is an entrepreneur mastermind where we help business owners ask the tough questions. And we help business owners really look at their business so they can build a sustainable, scalable, when they're ready, sellable business so they too can exit rich.
Well, then that's the place to end it. You know what? I was saying you could go buy the book anywhere else. If you bought the book anywhere else, then I don't know, maybe you shouldn't be in business. So you got to go to exitrichbook.com, all that stuff that you're going to get for free. And that, when people talk about adding value, that's it. That's adding value right there. So if you want some more information about the book and, you want to kind of do the things that I'm kind of thinking about, I think we should think about potentially selling a business. But one of the things that I just definitely learned here is you need to plan. Right. You need to, you can't just say, I'm just going to sell my business next year. You need to think about what you need to do. And in the book, Exit Rich. And by the way, we didn't even talk about the endorsements. The endorsements for this book are ridiculous. Some of the biggest names in the world. And that doesn't just happen. I'm an author. I've written 7 books. And my current publisher is Wiley & Sons. You don't get some of the biggest names in business in the world to endorse a book like this just for the hell of it. So that means that this book is going to do big things. So go to exitrichbook.com, pick up the book, get all that free information, get all that free data. Make sure you subscribe to her newsletter and her mastermind as well. And you're going to get a lot of value. You know what? As soon as we hang up, I'm going to see if she'll maybe give me a special code and I'll get it even deeper discount. I don't know, maybe. So listen, if you found that this podcast was interesting, if you felt as though maybe there's somebody that's listening right now that's maybe looking to sell their business or considering selling their business, make sure you share this, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to it, whether it's on iTunes, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Stitcher, wherever you're listening to this. Make sure you give us a rating and share it with your friends, share it with your relatives, share it with your neighbors, because the information on the Alden Report, which, by the way, I think everybody knows this, I don't make any money off of this at all. For me, it's to be able to develop relationships with people like Michelle that I just love listening to, people that know their stuff. So if you do like all that stuff and you do like what you've been listening to, make sure you share, like it, rate it, and also obviously go to exitrichbook.com. My name is Michael Alden, and that is Michelle Seiler Tucker. This has been another edition of the Alden Report, and we'll see you soon.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by connectioncapital.com. That's CONNEXTION capital.com. That's CONNEXTION capital.com. You are one connection away from your life changing forever. Have you ever tried to connect with somebody on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or even Clubhouse, and you couldn't quite connect with them? That's because the biggest gap in the world is the gap of access. It's not the wealth gap. It's not the credit gap. It's the access gap. ConnectionCapital.com is leveling the playing field, and it's free to join. Visit ConnectionCapital.com, ConnextionCapital.com. Again, it's ConnextionCapital.com. You are one connection away from your life changing forever.